Hello and what is up everyone, Thunderbob here, and tonight I am checking out a new game. This is Cloud Cutter. This is by Just2 Ltd. This is like an old school shoot 'em up game, but with kind of a new graphic style. I love this genre. I used to play this when I was a kid in the arcade. I now have an arcade in my room here, and I oftentimes boot this up and play old school shoot 'em up, and I'm always on the lookout for a new game that scratches that itch. So we're gonna check this out right now. It looks like I have to start on this first level. And it does look like there's multiplayer, though from what I'm seeing here, it is local multiplayer. I'm not seeing an online multiplayer option. It's basically where someone can drop in just like they would like in the arcade with you. And I'm playing with a controller at the moment. I feel like mouse and keyboard are not perfect for these. Use right RT to fire secondary weapon. Okay. And it's kind of like just auto-firing at the moment. It's interesting. I'm not too bad at these type of games. Like, I've beaten some of the classics of the genre. Like, Dandopachi and, like, some of those... Like, almost every cave game I've beaten, I'll say. Actually, like, I should be using the special more. Because it refills pretty fast. It's almost like a little, like, missile. I do like the way things kind of, like, explode in the background. That's a clever, like, modern take. You know, using physics to kind of make things... Ooh, I got hit. And you do have a life bar, it seems. Now, one thing I do love about these games is, like, as you upgrade and, like, your ship gets better and better, and eventually you're firing, like, just a screen full of bullets at one time. I'm curious how the upgrades work in this, and if you get to that point. It's a pretty game, and for this genre, it looks really nice. Oh. Forgot those missiles kind of like seek you out a little bit. The lighting effects, like when you fire your laser and like you can see it on the background stuff, is nice. Special power required. Use it to deal massive damage. Okay. Kind of wasting that. Okay, so you kind of gotta, like, really have stationary targets, I feel like, to use that. I've loved these games ever since I was a kid. I can remember... I have a video about this, actually. My very first gaming memory, I was 4, maybe I just turned 5, and where I was growing up, they had an arcade, and I played Galaga. No, Galaxian. I've got a video where I talk about this memory because I lost my dad at the beginning of the year, and the memory involves him taking me to this local arcade and just loving it so much. But ever since then, I can remember always gravitating towards these in the arcade, like this, and fighting games and beat-em-up games. Back in like the early 90s, that was my mainstay. And then when Time Crisis came out, it was light gun games, but... There's enemies? I'm still not sure if I like the auto fire. I'm almost treating like the right trigger attack as like a snipe attack. Because it's like a single kind of laser shot. This is really cool right now. I'm quite impressed. Oh, now I'm like shooting downwards. Oh, that's very disorienting. But that's a cool idea. The problem is, though, it's kind of hard to judge where the enemies are firing at because you're like at an angle. And like your movement is also like oriented towards that angle, if that makes sense. I don't know, it might just take a couple of runs. I feel like I'm suddenly getting hit. It really does feel like I'm like taking out an aircraft carrier though. Like a lot of these shoot 'em up games are so abstracted. Like what you're fighting, it's kind of hard to tell, but... yeah. I have no idea what the story of this is. If I'm... is this modern day? Is this like a fantastical... these Russians? Alright. So first level down, I got one of the stars. Wow, you have to do no hit, no special weapon, all enemies destroyed. Let's go right into the second level. Alright, that's pretty. Probably gonna go until I die. On this video, I mean. Since I got my arcade, I've actually played like a lot of really good shoot 'em up games. But Earth Defense Force I really enjoyed. All the cave shooters. I feel like there was like a month where I went through almost every one of them. That one where you're like a psychic flying through the air. What's that? Esperante? I really like that one. ESP. And then you got the side-scrolling one that was like for Capcom that they did. I'm not particularly good at them, like I'm not going for high scores or anything, but I do enjoy them. I broke my streak. Seems like you get a streak building until you get hit by something. The only thing I'm not so keen on is like things don't change up a lot or maybe fast enough. Like in those old school games, maybe because of how short they were and like you're basically playing on like a single quarter, I felt like you constantly were getting like crazy upgrades. And this definitely feels a little bit more metered and more paced, for better or worse. Oh, I'm getting wrecked all of a sudden. I guess I'm getting a little better now. I got 2 missiles accompanying my auto fire. You gotta pay attention. There's not really that many shots even on the screen, but you really have to focus on where you're shooting in this one. Like, I'm kind of used to the cave shooter, where your attack is like so big by, you know, by 10 minutes into the game that your shots just fill up the entire screen, and it's more about avoiding the incoming fire and placement of your ship than actually focusing on where you're aiming. Kind of a different type of game. There's nothing inherently wrong with that, I'm just used to that type of gameplay. I feel like I might not be able to beat the boss. Ah, missed it. I feel like I'm less keen on these segments because it's very hard to tell where you're getting shot from. It reminds me of some of those, like, early shoot-'em-ups in, like, the Sega, like, Sega 32X, Sega CD. There was a couple I could remember that had, like, weird forced perspectives. And, like, it was, like, spooling video in the background. And, like, it was very hard to link up, like, with, what was shooting you and the angle that it was coming from and returning fire. Like, they were a step forward in that they were using, like, pre-rendered backgrounds and video, but then at the same time it was harder, oh man, to actually see what was happening. Okay. I'm gonna stop for the moment. I'm enjoying this right now. It definitely is scratching that itch that I've been missing for a long time. It looks like there are leaderboards. Yep. So there's a worldwide leaderboard, and then you've also got a friend leaderboard. No online play as far as I can tell, but it does have multiplayer kind of drop in local. So yeah, and this is out as of May 6th, and right now it's on sale for $16.14. So if you're into old school shoot 'em up games with a kind of a newer art style, this might be something to look out for. I've enjoyed the last few minutes, and I'll probably play through more of this. If you enjoyed this video, why don't you check out some of my other content. I've got a ton of new school, ton of old school retro, virtual reality, all kinds of stuff. And if you like it, think about subscribing. I would appreciate it. So thanks again for watching, and have a good night, everyone.